have a conduit run across the top of the door of the cabin, and it's quite a significant one because it's going to feed the lights to the hard top, to the helm station, and obviously to cameras or anything that I choose to put into the hard top, and LED lights, whatever I decide to do, and in fact possibly speakers as well for sound systems. So I need to put a cover over it. So I've come up with this idea. I'm going to use a timber pelament, I guess you call it, along the end of it. Now the only problem is the roof is curved, so I do need to scribe a line on this and then cut this piece to fit in, and I'm going to need a second piece mounted directly to the actual top of the door beam here, I guess you'd call it, so that it can sit gently on there and also be able to be removed so that I can get in to do the wiring, because there's 3 entry points. There's 1, 2, and there's a third one here that actually feeds all of the hard top. So there's plenty going on up in there, and I do need to make sure that I've got good access to it. So this center piece and this piece, the whole thing should be removable, but I do actually need to scribe a line and get it obviously to match the curvature of the roof. Or scribed the curvature of the roof. Now there's going to be a headliner that's going to be about as thick as this, which will butt up against that and hide the joint in the roof. But I've got a smaller piece underneath because there's quite a gap there, but I need to be able to remove this. So this part will actually be removable so I can get to the conduit behind it. These are the light runs for the hard top. And the good thing is I can run wiring. Oh, that's quite a deep conduit channel there. I can run wiring up in there and behind there. And that wasn't sort of deliberate. I sort of came across that as a bit of a benefit of doing the foam core. The boat's this thick here at the back, so there's quite a large conduit. But I've got another piece that's going to go here.
Log of timber now.
Like so. And then the join will have a, on this piece that's removable, these may not be, they'll have to be removable, won't they? I'll put a cover strip over the join. But yeah, it's all sort of held in place at the moment, but it'll need to be tidied up, and I do need to do quite a bit of sanding behind it. And obviously this one here goes underneath along this line. So that'll go on first. Get this one on first, all the way nice and neat, and then we can do the top one, and then somehow make it removable, potentially with some, or maybe I'll put some threaded inserts in here that I can screw into with some brass screws or something. I don't know, stainless screws. Been hitting a lot of the little woodwork jobs that I've had. Janet's up in the factory staining the fiddles for all of the robes, so that's going to be a quick fix. Basically stain them, glue them on, forget about them, they're done forever. The robes are essentially finished except for the hinging of the doors. That's been a long, like 6-month process to get to the stage where I'm ready to put the hinges on, and yeah, I'm just about over that. But areas like around the door here, I've got a bit of a peculiar area here under the door. So this is actually 30mm foam, the back of the boat here, and then it's cut away here where I've actually beveled it and rebaited it down onto the floor here where the laminate comes down and meets the boat. And that's a very strong way to do laminating, and effectively when I put the back wall on, I actually always did a 1-to-1 bevel, 45-degree chamfer on any of the foam, and that way I was able to always bond glass to glass rather than having a 90-degree angle. Now that's given me a very useful little area here. This is actually a conduit run, and I'm going to use it for water and for fuel. There'll be some sort of a cross fuel line here that I can pump fuel from one side to the other, as well as some conduiting here for the fresh water flow over to the galley, because I've got to bring water. I have to actually bring water from a tank in that side and a tank in the other side into the general pressurized system. I actually do have 2 separate water pumps, one for each side, so I could draw all of our galley water from that side and all of our shower and head water from the other side for the port side. So I've got some options there with regards to plumbing, and I'm working out the plumbing right now because it's coming up in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to start that. It's going to be a massive job, but it's also going to be a very rewarding one to get that finished. That's one of the things I want to make sure before I put it on the water. So this area here is going to need some sort of a wood trim, but it is going to need to be removable so that I can enact a conduit run and have access into there. So what I've come up with is a large wooden fascia that will bolt onto here somehow, potentially some inserts that I can just screw into, or even just screw into the actual foam itself, and with some stainless screws. And Janet has been staining all day yet again. Love it, don't you? Yeah. So Janet's given all of this a good 3 coats of clear, 2 or 3 coats, I'm not sure.
My shoulders are liking it anyway.
Yeah. So that's our flooring, and that's going to be removable as well because of the conduit run behind it. So I've got to work out how I'm going to secure them, but it looks really nice. This junction here in the corner is actually the final look, so I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's great, eh?
I think it looks great.
Happy with it?
Yeah, very happy.
Cool.
So my job for the day is to make a mould, and I've just started it by gluing on these plastic shapes, allow water out but not water back in. I've got to finish plasticening to give a radius on all of the other moulds here, and then I need to wax it, and once I've waxed it, and I need to put some gel coat over it. Then we'll release the mould, and then I can make, I think it's about 20 of these from memory.
Janet's done a great job on the scupper clam mould. Now we bought some plastic ones, and obviously Janet's making the mould for it to glue up underneath the boat. We don't want stainless ones because ultimately there's going to be rust and oxidisation of them, so we'll glue some fiberglass ones up under all of our Bridgetech drains. So we've just mixed up some neutral gel coat with some red pigment because I'm out of red gel coat, and Janet's just putting the first layer of gel coat on. We probably won't need any more gel coat on because it's going to be a pretty simple mould. And then we can lay, 5 or 6 layers of glass on it, pull the mould off, and then we can make as many of these as we want, keeping the air bubbles out of it. But the reality is it's not really going to be that critical. We just need to be able to make some nice parts out of this. It's looking good. We are about 50 days out from launch, and I've decided that every day I'm going to do one thing that's going to get me closer to the actual launch. So other than doing the boat work, there's a lot of other logistical stuff we need to do, including the big truck downstairs. I've got to get it ready. We've got a lot of rubbish down there that we're going to get rid of, so that when it comes to actually doing the launch, we're not doing that. So Janet's down here with a pallet jack. We're pulling the place apart. And down underneath our big truck here, we've got a couple of pallet racks that we used to use for our big machine that was standing there where the hull is, and I've got to try to clean all of this crap up because we want all of this gone. And tomorrow Tony, who's planning to move us, is coming to inspect the rig, so I'm trying to make it look as good as possible so that we can guarantee we're going to be able to use it. And I brought the boss along. 3 years since we demolded the deck and sat it on the roof. Can you believe that? 3 years. If Janet stopped booking holidays, we'd be probably finished. Three hours later, we've been hosing and cleaning. This place is like hospital clean. That's unbelievable. I've even given the rig a good wash off because the dust under here was just absolutely out of control with all the winds we've had, and because I've been doing a bit of fairing. I've got 2 new tyres up the back there I picked up from a truck company yesterday, a truck tyre company, and essentially I'm going to need to replace that outer on the Julie down the back there and the inner on that side. So there's going to be a bit of work to do here. What I'll actually do is I'll pull the truck out, I'll prop the boat up. It's actually propped up now, it's just that I'm relying on the truck because I don't trust the fact that it's sitting on tyres and blocks at the moment. I really don't like that, but it's not too bad. I'll get some jack stands off Neil and pretty much make sure it's all supported. And I've actually got a short drawbar here that, I don't know whether you remember if you've watched this, but this drawbar fits onto my utility, onto my pickup truck, and I can tow this whole catastrophe out and get it out, and then I'll do the wheels while they're out, get it out there into the yard and basically do the wheels and make sure everything's right. And I still need to cut down these large lintels here. I'll cut them down so that basically the boat will slide off and not damage the nacelles on the front. I am a bit concerned about that, but I should be able to circumvent that problem if we can sort of guide it as it comes off, because it's going to come off backwards this way. I cannot put the rudders on, I don't think. I don't know yet. I might be able to lift it up a little bit higher, but I haven't got much more height with the actual lifter here, but I do on the other end. So I'm not convinced I'm going to be able to get this high enough, because the rudder length is here, and to get them underneath there, I really would need to dig a hole in the concrete down here, and I really don't want to do that. Well, I can't do that, it's not my property. But yeah, that's beautiful and clean now. I've got that all nice and neat, and I've got Tony coming around here tomorrow from Boat Trans, and we're going to start to discuss the logistics of moving it in 53 days. Can you believe it? 53 days. I'm shitting myself, because up in there, although I've been smashing out massive jobs like woodwork and getting everything done, I've still got the plumbing to do, I've still got the hydraulic steering to finish, I've still got the rudders to finish, I've still got the motors. Although they've been running, I do want to make sure that they are just spot on before we do it. I've got a lot of electrical work to do, got some work in the heads, and yeah, lots to do, and still some finalising of some flow coating inside to get it all done. So the good thing about it is the helm station's all finished, and then I've got to polish the whole thing before I put it on the water. So that's going to be a fun 53 days. That's scary. I've been cleaning up under the truck here, and I found 4 pieces of Evo stone, which is the bench tops that I'm going to be using for the galley, and I'm also going to carry that seam into the heads as well. So Ellen, when she was here about 8 months ago, gave me these templates for the portside head and the starboard ensuite, and I'm going to cut them out of this Evo stone and basically have them actually stuck down on the fiberglass on the top there. Don't often make mistakes, but I had a colossal one this morning. I was cutting one of these, and of course I had a weight sitting on it as I was cutting it, and then I lifted the weight and failed to stop it from smashing on the concrete. So one of these, which is technically the last piece that I had, ended up in the bin. Here it is here, and not happy because I didn't have another piece to replace it. So I went up in the garage and I was rooting around, and I had a piece that was 1/2 centimetre too short, and I was able to replicate it and make another one. So very, very lucky. Luckily I had that extra piece, but not so luckily Janet was in earshot of me when I lost my shit. It was pretty tragic, and I'm pretty embarrassed about what I said, because it was a little bit graphic, and it went on for about half an hour. Sometimes I just can't control it, and I just have to walk away. But I smashed that piece on the ground after breaking it and lost my shit. But anyway, here we are on our iteration number 2. And what it requires is I put it up in here and then I trim it. And in trimming it, I then have to go back and then route a rounded edge on it. But they're coming up really good. A little bit of trimming to do with the flap disc to get it all level, and that's going to look great once it's all bull-nosed. I'll get a little bit of a rounded corner on here, finish it off, and yeah, that's a really nice, quick, well, it's not quick, it's taking me all day to do these 2 countertops, and I'm going to work on the galley tomorrow. Beautiful. The port side one that I did earlier on. It's a bit dark in here, but I've got the hatch open, so we should be able to get a good look. And that one looks equally as good. Wrapped with that. It's nice little feature trim, but you know, nothing massive and not too much weight. Try to keep the weight down, and basically once I cut that sink out, it was basically 3/4 of the weight of the Corian anyway, or half of it at least. But that's given us a nice soft edged bench top, and our galley is going to be very, very similar to that. I think I'll just go for that rounded edge on the galley, and that'll be the business. Cool, that's tomorrow is the galley. I've been putting this off for a long time, and that is to join this Corian. It's not Corian, it's actually Evo stone, and apparently silica free. So I've been up the back all day sanding and grinding this stuff, and I've had full safety gear on. I'm paranoid about these manufactured stone tops. What has to happen here, and I've watched about 100 videos on this and got some advice from Joel around the corner who does these bench tops for a living. We need to hot glue some blocks onto the actual bench top, sort of equidistant. And I've prepared the surface here, cleaned it with denatured alcohol. That's really all you need to do. And then the glue is a 2-part. Now I think it's like a 5-to-1 mix, and it's special colour. It's actually grey in colour to match the substrate that I'm using here. And basically pump it in. And then, actually what I might do, I might put some masking tape under that so it doesn't stick to the top. So we hot glue these 4 blocks onto the actual Corian itself, and then we use a number of clamps to clamp it together. And I'll leave it, it does say like 45 minutes, but I'll be leaving it probably overnight. And by the same token, I've got to do this part too here. I wish I'd never cut this away. I would have done the join over there and I would have got away with it, but it was a very unusual shaped piece. It wasn't a square piece where I actually cut these tops. So the nice thing about that is I'm going to have them glued together. Now the glue is a bit old. I'm just hoping that it hasn't expired. I have got a backup. If it doesn't come out clean, then I'll be racing up to the shed and get the backup epoxy that I bought to work in a different gun. I've actually got the gun for this one here, borrowed off Joel as well. So I've got a little bit of work to do. I'm going to do this one, and then tomorrow I'm going to come in and do the return top, which actually goes along the window here and around. It's going to be nice to be able to get those things glued together. Then I can start on the finishing. The finishing is actually going to take place in here, and that is something that's really going to freak me out. And this is, I guess, what all the concern is about the safety of these manufactured stone bench tops, is that often the kitchen installers are coming into the houses and doing the work without any safety gear and leaving that remnant silica dust all throughout the house, and obviously the residents are going to have to come and cop it. I'm not really sure how true that is, but for now I'm going to get this one done. I'll get these glued up, and we'll see how we go, and hopefully by the time it's all clamped, it's all together, and it's dead level. Fortunately, I'll be cutting the sink out of here, so we're only going to have a seam of around about sort of 2 inches here and probably 1 inch at the back, and then I can get in and do some nice routing, a little bit of clean up probably with the jigsaw first, and then I can get the whole thing tidied up and get it finished. Well, that didn't quite go as planned. The hot glue is a nightmare. It's not really a great idea. There is a tool that suctions on. Don't have the tool, so hopefully that's going to polish up all right. That should be all right because the colour's good, and basically all you're doing is bonding resin on resin. But anyway, I'll get together and clamp this with some smaller clamps, and that'll be it for the day. What are you doing? Making a murder room?
Making a cubby house. See, Miss spent.
You've got to explain what you're doing.
At winters in England, we used to make cubby houses over furniture and everything because we couldn't go outside. But at this point in time, I'm actually blocking out the downstairs so we don't have to clean them while we cut out the hole for the sink. So it just saves the cleanup afterwards.
Yeah, the dust is going to be something to behold, isn't it?
Yeah, so I just think it's safer to do this.
So Janet's protected all this area here rather than having to vacuum the whole boat out. We're just going to vacuum out the saloon, because the Evo Stone benchtop, when I was cutting the small bathroom ones yesterday, the amount of dust I created was unbelievable. There's going to be 2 vacuums going on of the power tools when I start to cut out the benchtop. Got to cut out the sink. I've got the template mounted over there, and also trim the edges with the router to get it all done, and then I'll go into the polishing stage. So I've been preparing where this template goes. Actually, always check a template. I'll need to do a few measurements to make sure, but I've still got to trim this edge, this corner and around here, just to make sure that it's even all the way around. Got a tiny little flat spot here, which is actually probably a good thing, because it's going to restrict our movement, and then it's looked pretty good already around here. So this will need to be sanded down before I do the final routing. But the first things first, I need to cut out the bench top for the sink. I've already done the induction cooker, and this one here I'll cut out, and then we can fit the sink, and then I'll do the edges. Assistant here. We're ready to go. This is going to be the deepest cut of all, because this, once we get this done, we can basically just sand out the floor, and all the messy shit's done in here. Be pretty happy to see the end. So we've got to do a bit of a trim along here, set up as best as I can a jig here with some weight on it. I'm going to do this with a jigsaw. I thought about doing it with the grinder, but I think the jigsaw is better. I could have done it with a router, but I don't have the right bit. And anyway, I'll do it with the jigsaw, and then we'll trim it back. I'll just have to be super, super careful, and then we'll tidy it up with a flat disc, I think, and that's where the mess is going to start, and then the router.
Winner! I hate cutting those things, eh? Paranoia at best. Oh, that's good. Cool, cool. Alright, so next thing is sanding and routing. Let's have a rest.